How are you, mate? You all right?
I'm very well. How are you?
Yeah, I mean, interesting weekend, wasn't it? But with the result.
Interesting or predictable?
I think there's been a real mixed bag of opinions. I mean, I'm very much of the opinion it's, I think about the amount of injuries we've got. We've played a team that were top of the league at their gaff, and we got 10 points from 12 in the previous games. But I think that just the level of criticism labelled at the team is, I don't know. I just think it's just too much. I mean, be interested to know your thoughts.
Yeah, it was only going to be one result. I mean, I was annoyed, sure, but it was fully predictable in my eyes, and I think it's just easy. It's easy to forget that it's most of this team's and Throp's first roll of the dice in the league. In this league, it's not an easy league, and Wilder isn't an idiot. So, despite what people think of him, me and myself included, so it's a tough one. I think it's just, again, it's impatience, and I think when I've said it before on this podcast a few times, when you're told to be, there's a new plan with McNally. He had his plan, and then there's Farker and Webber in their plan, and we've dined at the top table a few times, and I think people have just kind of been like, well, we've heard all this before and we're at this situation again. So I think I can see why people are frustrated, but the level is maybe unwarranted.
Yeah, I think so. Talk to us about the outro, with our new outro. Talk to us a little bit about that.
Our new outro. I was recorded in a hotel in Hackney by my friend, who's an actor who actually comes from she's from Houston, Texas, but has acted in theatre in plays in Los Angeles. So bit of an international stretch there, Jez.
Yeah. But no. I'm pleased with the outcome, so it's better than me droning on at the end. So
I don't know. I think there's something nice about hearing your sort of monotone diction.
We got a nice mention on Radio Norfolk on the weekend as well, which I was really, really pleased with. Thanks Rob Butler for that.
Yeah. Thanks, Rob.
It was it's always nice to hear the pod's name outside of these boundaries of whether it be Apple or Spotify or YouTube. So it's really nice to hear that. And, Killian's episode has literally just gone live. So
that's great. Yeah. I think it's also really nice that people are actually listening. And so you don't just feel like you're chatting into the ether. So thanks for everyone for listening so far.
So we've got, Morgan, we've got a guy by the name of David Spud Thornhill on today.
Hello, Spud.
Hi, guys.
How are you?
How's it going?
Very well. Yourself?
Yeah, I'm excited to have a chat with you because you're a bit of a folklore hero, aren't you, eh?
I don't know about that yet, but I'm a keen Norwich fan.
Good. That's good to hear, Spud. And would you mind us calling you Spud, or would you prefer?
I've always preferred Spud. I've always said, unless you're my dad, you can't call me David.
It's a bit formal, isn't it? I prefer Spud.
Yeah, and I've had it. I'm 50 this year, and I've had it since I was 4. So everyone called me Spud, really.
Good. All right. So just for the audience, then, Spud, if you could just introduce yourself, where you're from, perhaps how long you supported Norwich, and what you do for a living, etc.
My name is Spud or David Thornhill. I'm 49 years old. I've been supporting Norwich since 1982. My first game was August 1982. Yeah. Been a fan since then. And I just do food supplies.
Oh, nice. And then I think we've also, before you came on, talked about a couple of other things, which I think Morgan's aware of one of them. So perhaps let's discuss that one now. So, and it was going to be one of the questions in the 10 questions, but we might as well discuss it now. So talk to us a little bit about that day where you became the 4th official at Carrow Road.
That's quite bizarre, really, because I don't know if you know, but I've done it all together 7 times.
Oh, really?
6 times.
Oh, wow.
Didn't realise that.
So, and that was my last time with Norwich. So the first time was 2001 against Sheffield Wednesday. And then I'd done it against, let's get this right, Derby County, Barnet, Leyton Orient, Everton, and then the Preston one. And the funny thing is, all of them before the one against Preston, I'd done at least half time or earlier.
Oh, wow.
So, and this one was only had to do the 10 minutes of injury time.
Yeah, that's right.
It's really bizarre because I don't think anything of it because I've done it many times before. Yeah. So it wasn't a big thing for me. I don't want to sound like being big-headed.
No, of course not.
It was just a case. I've done it before. Where my season ticket was at the time was 4 seats away from the dugout. Yeah. It was easier for the stewards to find me. Yeah. I was quite lucky that I knew Alex Neil. And not many people know this, that someone shouted out, "Come on, Spud, you go on there." And Alex Neil heard this, and he turned around and saw me. And that was actually him who mentioned it to the referee, saying I was a referee.
So, I mean, did you talk to us a little bit that? Sorry, Morgan, after you.
That's right. I was going to say, what actually happened to was it the linesman? Did he get injured? The
linesman got injured. If I remember, he proved me right. He done his groining. So yeah, he went off. Yeah. And there's so many funny things about that day because my little girl was at that day 6 months old to the day, and me and my wife were having probably our first night out since she was born.
Yeah.
And so we were going straight out after the game, only to do some escape lounge and all that. So I didn't wear any football colours that day, and it's quite funny that the newspaper, I think it was the Sun, said that I wore my Norwich City shirt underneath. And I said, well, actually, no, I didn't. But so one of the stewards came round and said he knew where I was sitting, and he knew I'd done it before the pass. Yeah. And I did actually say I'm not actually a referee anymore. And
right. So you have done this before, like semi-professionally or professionally?
Yeah. I got to semi-professional level. Okay. I got to like Conference or National League North.
Oh wow.
Early 2000s. I've refereed for about 15 years, but just work and family life just got too much, and I just didn't do any more refereeing. So I hadn't refereed for a few years, and I did mention that to the steward, but he basically said it's either you or the man in the top tier of the Barclay, meaning you're 30 seconds away, or you can get someone who will take 5-10 minutes. Yeah. So over I jumped, got myself changed, and then done the final 10 minutes. But the first time I'd done it was in 2001 when we played Sheffield Wednesday. When the referee, did he get? I think it was the referee. Yeah, the referee got injured, and they put an announcement on the tannoid. I went up to a steward and told him that I was a referee. Yeah. And I remember walking beside the pitch, and there's a picture in the local paper. That was when we played Sheffield Wednesday. We won 2-0, and Ewan Roberts scored. And you actually see me walking beside the pitch, but I couldn't show any emotion because if I was going to referee, you have to be what's the word? Impartial. Yes. Yeah. So, but I've had some good times with it. I've been very lucky with my refereeing. But the media attention going back to that Preston one was phenomenal. I didn't realise how much attention it would get, and at the time I didn't know that was the main game around the world.
Oh wow! Okay.
Yeah, is honestly no word of a lie. I actually got contacted by Brazilian media.
Brilliant.
Yeah, someone I know who's in Canada. He said he saw me in the Canadian Times or whatever it was. Yeah. And this is the most bizarre thing. I got contacted by Big Brother.
Oh, really? As in the TV show?
Yeah, because they wanted, that was on at the time. I'm not a Big Brother fan, nothing like that. But they just wanted me to go on it. If I had my time again, I would have milked it.
Yeah.
But when you're suddenly put in that spot, when everyone want a bit of you. Yeah. So I was out that evening with my wife, and loads of people contacted me. I got to a stage where i.e. Sky News, Radio 5. It got to a stage where I had to turn my phone off because I was getting out for the evening and keep getting all this media attention.
Well, that's pretty much the same with you, isn't it, Jez? Now you've sort of raised the bar with Beyond the Barclay. You just can't move for the fan mail.
Well, especially with Killian coming on, he's pushed it to another level, and we've got Connor Southall next week as well coming on. So I've really enjoyed it. I've really enjoyed speaking to Norwich fans. It was actually Diane Blazer that recommended you that came on. So you can blame Diane for.
Oh no, I love talking about my love for Norwich City.
Good, and that's what we like.
We have got we are the greatest team. I wouldn't want it any other way. I'm not interested in trophies, nothing like that. To me, it's the fan base, the community feel, and everything what rounds it. Because I go back to my childhood. I know we'll probably talk about that later, but what I was brought up, and when you have players like Brian Gunn, I used to go down the ground every other Saturday at 12 o'clock and meet the players in the car park. And they'd be talking to you, signing autographs, and that's the magical bit. They're the memories that you can't they can't take away from you, and that's what I'm trying to install into my little girl. She's now 7. She's got no choice. My wife's a season ticket holder. I'm a season ticket holder. She's now a season ticket, and I just want her to have the memories what I've got growing up, and trophies mean nothing to me. It's community feel and the feeling of that people care, and I think Norwich City do that.
Yeah, I agree. I think that there's definitely, I think there is a bit of a polar divide. I think there's a lot of people that do enjoy the community side of things, and I think Jez and me have talked about if we do make any merchandise for this. For this podcast, we'll put the money back into the community fund. I think that's great. But then also I think there are other fans that do want to see Norwich compete at the sort of top table. And I think for me, rightly so, because I grew up with Norwich in the inaugural Premier League. I was 7 or something like that. So I remember that amazing team. And, I agree. Like I'd love to give back to the community, but I want to see Norwich do well. I want to see us knock out some of the big boys, from time to time. It is, and that Man City game is a prime example of that. I'm sure you'll both agree.
Definitely. Sorry, Spud, just touching on the other thing that we were going to talk about as well was, not apparently you are, because you've told me you are a member of the 92 club.
Yes, that is another obsession. I've got many obsessions, and football ground is a big one for me. Ticking off the ground, completed in 2008, and every year there's a new ground, I tick it off. So I only had to do Bromley this year. Right. I've really ticked that off. It's a great thing. Going to ticking the grounds off is great, because I always try and go in the home end, because if out of Norwich were there, I'd be in the away end.
Of course.
So you go and mix up with other supporters, and you get to feel like, I remember ticking off Chesterfield. They had to win to stay up, and you watching their fans, their emotions, and you could see that they're desperate for the win. And you're thinking, that's me if I was in that position, feeling all the pain. This guy was thinking like they're facing relegation, and then they go and score 2 goals in the final 7 minutes, and a small ground, it could have been 10,000 there. Yeah. It felt like 100,000, and the place was erupted. And when you watched him 10 minutes later celebrating, and you're thinking, that's me as well. That was Norwich City. And they're the memories. There's so many memories I've got from ticking off the grounds. Love it.
So when you say that, Spud, is that like a football tourism thing? You're going around the country exploring the different grounds, the different teams. Just explain to maybe the audience what you mean by that.
Well, if you start going to a lot of Norwich City away games throughout the years, and I started in the top flight, then they got relegated to the second tier. You suddenly get the numbers up. Before you know it, you could be up to 40, 50, maybe 60 grounds with Norwich, and you're suddenly thinking, hold on, I could actually get to 92. It is a lot of money consuming, but it's like anything. You go on holiday, you go to different places, you can go to different towns and cities around the country, and it's a nice part of it.
Yeah, definitely.
Just seeing other teams, and then when Norwich draw the team in the cup or we then play them in the league, you can say, I've been there, I know where to go.
Yeah.
So
it is a lot of fun. I've done a few grounds, but life took me away from it, so I want to get started on it again. Maybe go up north. Tranmere is one that I really want to go to, so we'll see how that goes.
Definitely. Yeah. And you're more than welcome to join us when we go to Carnarvon Town in Wales, Spud.
do you know, I love taking any ground off.
Yeah.
If I go and see someone, I'm desperate just to find their nearest team. It doesn't matter if it's the top flight team or a team in Tier 8, something like that. It doesn't matter. It's a game of football.
Yeah, absolutely. So moving into the questions then. So question 1, what's your earliest memory of supporting Norwich City?
Well, it's actually before supporting Norwich City. I've got 3 older brothers. I'm the youngest. And I've got a bit of a sad one. When Norwich City won promotion in 1982 at Sheffield Wednesday.
Yep.
I hadn't been to a game. My mum wouldn't let me go as a week after my 7th birthday. So my 3 brothers going to Sheffield Wednesday. I still remember it, and when that's winning promotion. So that's probably my earliest memory of Norwich City.
Yeah.
And then obviously we won promotion, and then start the following season. Our first game was against Man City. And
the old Man City.
The old Man City. To be fair, I haven't got a major problem with Man City because I think they have got really good fan base.
Yeah.
You are going to get people who jump on the old bandwagon. That just goes with success, doesn't it?
Yeah.
But I do remember when they were getting the 30,000-40,000 at Main Road.
Yeah.
So I remember going. I don't know if you can remember. Can you remember the old South Stand?
Yeah. Yeah.
So you can remember how that small that was compared to what the South Stand is now.
Yeah. It's about half. Well, pretty much half the size, really, wasn't it?
Exactly. Yeah. Well, imagine me. I remember that's where I sat, and I remember going in, and it felt like the biggest stadium in the world.
Yeah.
And then I remember being knocked down. I thought how small it was. I don't remember anything from the game. I know we lost 2-1. We were 2-0 down, and then John Dean got one back.
Yeah.
So that's my earliest memory. And then I do remember going to Wembley in '85. I was very lucky to go to that. I was nearly 10. So that was I don't remember much from the game, but I do remember missing a penalty and us picking the trophy up. And the other sad memory is that I remember getting upset as I was leaving Wembley tube station.
Yeah.
You got to think of all the 1,000 fans. My hat got knocked off.
Oh no!
And my dad said, "Don't worry about it." And this Southern fan wanted to give me a hat. And I didn't want it. No, I'm not having that. And I got told off for being ungrateful. So, I do remember that. So, and then us getting relegated. That probably leads on to my most emotional moment for sadness when we got relegated in '85. I can remember being in my bedroom and 1 by 1 when Coventry scores kept going in, and then we were relegated. So yeah, that's probably one of my saddest moments. And for years I was bitter towards Coventry and Everton.
It's funny how it gets you, isn't it? I still harbour a little bit of resentment every time when we played Newcastle, because of that 5-2 when we had Alex Neil. I think that sort of.
Oh, the 6-2 one, yeah.
Yeah, you're right. Sorry. Yes.
Yeah.
There you go. But and then Sunderland as well. That season pretty much relegated us. I think they had Allardyce come in, and I think that was the game that was the end. And I think that I've always been a little bit of like that.
I think my earliest memory, I remember my first ever game was Wimbledon at home, and it was, I think I remember Jeremy Goss was playing, so it must have been 90, it was mid to late 90s, so. Was
it the 1-1 when Jeremy Goss scored?
Yeah, I think it was, I'm a bit
of an anorak, I do remember dates and games. Yeah. Maybe the 14th, 1995.
Probably was, to be honest, yeah, so it's a good memory, that, to be honest, and it's, that, and just sort of getting the bug there. And then really I was in the Upper Barclay, funnily enough, because that's where I am now. But my first season ticket was in the South Stand, where you mentioned the South Stand earlier, when it was the old one, and it was £17 my first season ticket, which is, that was when Andrew Cullen was about and was giving tickets away, really. I think he's got we've got a lot to thank for him, for the fan base we've got now.
Oh, definitely. Without a shadow, as when we played Portsmouth the other month or last month, and Radio Norfolk chatted to him, and he did bring some the memories back, because I do remember the times of us having the low tens of thousands at home games, and what he'd done, he did change, and we reaped the benefits of him for years and years and years.
Yeah.
I think he started doing it around March 1988. And I think that's when the first few games when he charging £1 for kids and all that.
Yeah, kids for £1. We've got a guest on in a few weeks' time who his dad was a steward at Carrow Road, so there's going to be some interesting sort of takes on the sort of lower times, as it were. But kids for £1 was there.
Yeah, they're good times. They're tough times, and so got a lot to be thankful for. Andrew Cullen.
Definitely. Morgan, next one.
Okay, that's a good question. So, if you could bring back any former Norwich player in their prime, who would it be and why?
Well, if you were gonna have the video on, you'd see my cat Edie. Darren Eadie, without a shadow of a doubt. He was a phenomenal player. I remember watching him in the good old days, watching reserve football. I remember on a Friday night we watched him, and I think we played Swindon. I've told him this story. He was absolutely fantastic. He just tore the defence apart and all that.
Yeah.
And I told my dad, I said, this player is going to play for England without a shadow of doubt. Yeah. He's the best player I've ever seen. Next reserve game, my dad came, and Darren Eadie had an absolute shocker game. And my dad turned around and said, don't know about playing for England. He's never going to play for Norwich City. So, but that was nice that I'm not normally right about players, because many players I've said that they're going to make the grade. But he's definitely made a grade. And it's so sad that his injuries never gave him the career he deserved.
Agreed. Yeah, I think he not had, it was either his ankle or his knee, wasn't it? It was a sort of reoccurring injury that he had.
Yeah.
I think it was just because he got clattered. He was around at a time where that sort of style of football was okay. It was being phased out, but there was still that sort of style of football where if you got a quick winger, you're going to crunch him. And
yeah, of course.
I think he was unfortunate enough to be on the end of a couple of receiving, really bad receive, similar to Bellamy in a way at Wolves. But I think, I think Edie would have, you're right. I think you're right, Spud. I think he would have got 100% gone on to play for England. And I think he did make the grade at a certain
Well, he got the call up.
That's right.
He got the call up, but he never played for the,
first.
Yeah. So played for many games under 21.
Yes, yes.
He scored against, I can't remember his name now. That Italian keeper, Buffon.
Buffon.
Yeah, Buffon. Yeah. So he scored again. Well, I think he was with us at the time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I do remember that. But I remember so many games. I remember when he came along.
Yeah.
He's only a month younger than me. And I just remember being so excited to say, this player's class.
Mm. He'd fit into the Throp team, I think, as well, with the sort of wing play that we use. So I think it's a good choice. Maybe, Jez, if you could reach out to him, get him on here.
Yeah, I mean, I did it. Funny enough, I actually met his daughter about a year or two ago, and at the River Garden pub, just on a random really, and the girl she was with sort of said, "Oh, she doesn't like this, but we're going to embarrass her. She's Darren Eadie's daughter." And they were all three of them were are an absolute credit, and she's an absolute credit to Darren as well. And I can't, for the life of me, can't remember her name, but 100%. If we can get Darren Eadie on that, I'd love that. It'd be really good to sort of get an insight into his career with with what he went through as well. So I mean, for me, it's either someone like him or Brian Gunn, but I was going to say Grant Holt.
Yeah. So if you're listening to this, any of you three, drop us a line.
I would also say I always had two favourite players, him and Brian Gunn, because Brian Gunn, what he done for me as a child, when he arrived, I was 11.
Yeah.
And every week he got to know me. And it's, again, I go back to when we played Exeter, in 1990. It was a muddy pitch. I was 14 at the time, and I just said, "Hey, Gunny," and he's warming up, and he's put his gloves, muddy gloves, in my face. Now, it's just that interaction.
Yeah.
And I see him now and again, and he chats to me, and it's nice to say that he's one of my friends.
Yeah.
And he's an all-time hero. I always remember all the trouble he had when he was manager, and it absolutely broke my heart.
Yeah, mine too.
And I always remember putting a tweet out up when Neil Adams was manager.
Yeah.
So I'd obviously seen it with Brian Gunn, the grief he got. I remember the grief John Dean got, and John Dean didn't deserve it because he was a legend at the club. And I put a tweet out. Sometimes I'm not very good at putting, when you've had a few beers, tweeting something, and I put the words I don't want Neil Adams to go the same way as Brian Gunn.
Yeah.
And he replied like, I'm shocked. And when I reread it, it sounded awful what I put.
Yeah.
I was actually saying I did not want Neil Adams to go through all the horrible abuse that Gunny received.
Yeah.
And when I explained it to him, he was absolutely fine with it, and I was so relieved because I got so much love for that man. What he'd done to me personally when I was younger, I would never want to ruin that.
No, I know, you're right, and I mean he's one of my, if not my favourite Norwich player for a lot of reasons, really. But I think, you know, that's how he resonates with the fans. I got a photo upstairs somewhere when I went to like a soccer school with me and him, probably mid to late 90s, maybe earlier 90s, I suppose. But, you know, he was just phenomenal, and what happened to him on the Colchester game wasn't fair. I don't think see fans running onto the pitch like they did, and I bet they regretted it at the end of the season and the end of the following season when we got promoted to the Premier League. Because, you know, I think that's a lesson to all of the fans that perhaps think that that's acceptable, because it's not.
Well, it's armchair punditry, isn't it? I think it's not easy managing a football. It's not easy managing a football team. You know that, don't you, Jez? But like, I just think that sometimes it's easy to sort of think that, you know, it's an easy thing to do, but it's probably clearly not. It's one of the reasons why I was kind of relieved that Russ Martin didn't get appointed coach here, because I think he, you know, no matter what your opinion of Russ Martin towards the tail end of his career at Norwich, I think he was always, you know, he always gave it his best shot. And I think Southampton, unfortunately, was probably a bridge too far for Martin. But you know, it's one of the reasons why I'm glad that he didn't become coach here, because I just think he'd received a lot of pelters for you know, for that.
He's another great man, Russ, and I wouldn't want him to be here as manager.
No.
No,
for that reason as well, you're right. So, I mean, I think we've covered question 3, so we'll move on to 4. If you could relive one game in Norwich City's history, which one would it be?
There's far too many. There really is far too many.
Top 3.
I could say when I was younger on the old Barclay Terrace, I do remember beating West Ham in '89, FA Cup quarter final.
Brilliant.
And that was probably one of the first time I stood further back. I'm only short. I couldn't see very much of the game, but the atmosphere on the terrace was great. I absolutely loved that. On my 18th birthday, we drew 3-3 with Middlesbrough on the final day of the season to get third place in the Premier League. That day will just live me forever.
Yeah.
And another one, again, probably more personal than that. When we played Ipswich in the playoffs.
Oh yeah.
Was that recently?
2015.
Yeah.
Now, my birthday I was 40 the week before, and my wife said, I said, "Don't, you're going to plan anything? Can you do it the following week? Because it shouldn't be any playoffs that weekend."
Yeah.
And it's about around this time of the year, and then about March time, the Football League announced that they're going to have one the first weekend and one at the second weekend.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And my wife is not a person who used foul language, but when I told her that the second leg was going to be on that day, well, she just flipped a lid and all that. So anyway, she said, "I've got something planned for you." Okay. And then we got the game against Ipswich. I didn't know what I was doing. She told me we were going to a comedy club at the Talk at Norwich City.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Talk Norwich City, at the Talk on
it's on Barrett, the Barrett.
Oak Street, on Oak Street.
Yeah, you got it, yeah.
So anyway, the game finished, and we're 1-3-1. We're going to Wembley, and I'm absolutely bottle of pop like many people. And so I said, do you mind if I just go for a couple of drinks? Only 2 pints. I'll only have a couple of pints.
Oh, yeah, sure.
So one thing led to another. My mates are there, and they're like, you need to calm down, Spud. I'm thinking, like, why people need to calm down? Aren't you going out? Yeah, it's only a comedy club. That'll be fine, and like that. So anyway, after my wife picked me up, I was 3 weights for the wind and all that. And all I wanted to do was just go home, have a Chinese, and just watch Sky Sports News all night. She basically said, get in a bath and sober up and all that. Yeah. I really don't want to go out. And we got to the Talk on Oak Street, and on there was the Radio Ballin, who's the Ipswich fan, Rob Chandler.
Yeah. Oh, I didn't realise he was an Ipswich fan. Oh well.
What, Rob Chandler? Oh yeah. So I saw that and I thought, if he's in there, I've gone give him so much abuse and all that. Walked in there, surprise 40th birthday party, and I didn't know nothing about it.
Amazing.
So my poor wife, and she was worried that it was going to be the best party ever, or the worst party if Norwich City won or lost.
Yeah.
So yeah, that game will always live with me. Yeah, and any time we beat Ipswich, really, they're the great memories.
I mean, that road to Wembley was folklore, really, wasn't it? It was written in a book somewhere, by someone godly, because you can't make that stuff up.
No.
And then for you to have a 40th surprise birthday, it's just brilliant story.
Yeah. So being 50 this year, I don't know if she'll do anything for me this year, but if we get to the playoffs, oh no. I don't know if I can cope with that again.
I don't think there's any chance of that, so you'll be all right.
Why do you say that? Why do you say that? But then again, yeah. We'll see.
So just moving on to the next question. Obviously, given your sort of past with refereeing and stuff like that, I mean, how do you stay connected to the club during the off season?
I'm really, really old school. I don't like all this modern day stuff, and you don't get these videos out now, do they? They used to do all the end of season videos. So I used to love watching them and bring back the memories. Now, joking aside, I actually quite like the break, only for a few weeks. One, you can save money, you can save your liver, and you can start seeing people that you don't see for 9 months. So yeah, I actually quite like the break. And then when the fixture lists come out, you then start planning who you're going to see around the country and try and plan trips. So that's a good excuse to go and see people and when you fit in a away game.
Yeah, I can't say I enjoy the off season if I'm brutally honest. I just want it. I want football all year long. Because it's like you're constantly updating BBC Sport or whatever, and there's no news. You're on the Pinkin, you refresh it. I refresh it like every 10 minutes. Like the transfer window, just like constantly refreshing. And, sometimes there's just nothing going on and you're just like, what am I supposed to do with my free time? Read a book actually and go for a walk. I need to do that more often.
Yeah, I'm with Spud on this. I really enjoy the off season now. I never used to. I used to be very much the same as you, Morgan. As soon as that final whistle went on the last game, I was like, oh god, we've got to fight. But now I quite enjoy it, and I quite like the build up to the pre-season friendlies. Yeah. I probably go to maybe 1 or 2. I went to Northampton this season, and he had the added spice of the fact it was Forups. Well, if it wasn't his first game, it was one of his first games. And I quite like that sort of build up now, and being able to, as Spud says, just do different things and have that holiday and sort of just sit there thinking, it's nice not have to think what Norwich are doing this weekend. And stuff like that, and but yeah, it's. I think the club do a good sort of, and they have to, I suppose, a good job of keeping supporters in touch of what goes on behind closed doors during off season.
I think they do, and occasionally they bring back memories, and that's a nice thing, really. I think we're quite lucky with Norwich, I think.
Yeah, definitely. And, it's nice now. I think you mentioned it, Spud, as well. You went to watch the ladies play yesterday. And it's good that, the club are doing a lot more around that now as well, because, clearly that's another avenue for people to explore and, get involved with as well. So long may that continue as well.
I do highly recommend it. You're going to get some of the cynical people saying it's nothing like the men's game. It's nothing like the men's game, but at the same time it is.
Yeah.
And they are just as passionate. And Attacker went in yesterday, and even I was cringing, they get that away. Where in the men's, it just frustrates me when you see them going down. You're thinking like, oh, really? And it's good because it is tough to get tickets for kids these days. And go and watch them. It really is good. And going back to what I said, after the game, they go and see the fans. And my little girl, she loves it. And watching her yesterday with one of the players, Freya Simmons, always makes a fuss, Amelia and all that. And she wasn't playing yesterday. And watching her chatting, watching them two chat together, I could see me with someone like Brian Gunn.
Yeah.
She was looking up to Freya, and I was probably looking up to Brian Gunn at her age and all that. And yeah, it is good. And I highly, highly recommend anyone, if you can't get your child to go to Carrow Road because of tickets, etc., take them to go and watch Norwich City Ladies, because it is good value. Definitely. And yesterday, it cost me £3 to get in, free for her. So
that's brilliant. So moving on to question 6, which Norwich kit holds the most sentimental value for you?
Oh, that's got to be the egg and crest, really, isn't it?
Yeah.
Shall we go for that one? Yes.
I think, with the Bayern Munich win, I think that's that's what everyone sort of harks back to, isn't it? With that kit, and obviously as you mentioned earlier on, the Premier League season where we finished third, we were wearing that, weren't we?
We were, yeah.
Would you say it's up there as one of the? Well, I kind of feel that kit. Everyone always goes, "Oh, you're the team that wears that speckled yellow shirt." Back in the early '90s, it's got to be in the top 10. Surely, it's got to be in the top 10 around the world.
I just love that we are yellow and green.
Yeah.
I'm so glad we're not red and white or blue and white.
Yeah.
You just think we are the only club who wear yellow and green in the Football League and Premier League. We are unique. I just like us being different to everybody else.
It's a great story as well, how it comes about as well. I really love that.
Without a shadow of a doubt, yeah. So I wish I had the 86-87 Foster's kit, the Hummel one. So I did love that kit.
Great.
I know I could buy the retro one of it. That's not the same.
Yeah, it's not the same though, is it?
No, so I've never bought one.
I'm a big fan of shirts. So these kind of questions that Jez poses, I'm always like, I like talking about the football shirts. I think for me, it's probably the white Asics one the season before the Egg and Chris. I love that. I love that shirt. So if any listeners out there that want to sell it in extra large, please do reach out.
I'm very chuffed that I've got both kits.
Have you?
Yeah, I've got. Well, money's a bit tight nowadays, so I haven't got this season's yet. I've only got the home one. I'm putting my child before me. She's got more kits than me. That's a bit worrying, mate. So before the season, I've got every kit humming away, apart from that one kit off they done against Colchester, and it goes back to 1989. So I know I'm not in Norwich City Shirts League, but yeah, I've got quite a few shirts.
Do you have out of interest, the blue and white, is it centenary shirt?
Yeah, I've got that one. Now I've got my name on it, so yeah, that's
Brilliant.
Quite nice. It's a bit like finding Where's Wally when you're trying to find your name.
That was my idea, by the way. No, it was. I can't remember if I wrote into the club or to put it on a message board. And I remember, to be honest with you, they might have thought of it themselves, but there was a kit, Alaves, I think, with the team from Portugal, and they were playing in a UEFA game and it got brought up, and it was like, oh, that's a good idea. Perhaps we should do that because I knew the centenary was around the corner, and I sort of put it on. It might have been a message board, and I can't remember seeing it before or after. So I thought when it came out, I thought, well, I'll have that as my idea. But
too right, yeah.
Yeah, 100%. But no, for me, I think I don't know. A lot of people don't like this one because it's blue. But my first ever Norwich kit was the blue one, which was the Scottish.
95, 96.
The tartan one.
Yeah.
So you had.
I had my name on the back of it, and number 7, and obviously when my boy's old enough, because he's only 3 at the moment. But when he's old enough, I'm going to give him that one. And
that shirt is incredible.
Yeah.
That shirt was so good. I remember going to football club and everyone had the home shirt for that season and that one.
Yeah.
But I've always wanted that one. It's such a good shirt.
That is, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So who do you think is the most underrated player in the current squad?
Oh, that's a really difficult one, really. I've always been a big fan of Kenny.
Yeah.
And I know you can say, well, he's not underrated because he won Player of the Year. But I go back to 2 or 3 years ago when everyone was criticising him, and I always had his same bit like when during Adam Jury's time, because I'm a massive Adam Jury fan. You don't realise how good they are until they're out of the squad.
Yeah.
And I think that's been proved this season with Kenny. Do you think the games he's been suspended?
Yeah.
We had our bad runs. I can't remember what the stat is, but I think we're a lot less successful when he's not in the team. So I'll say Kenny.
He goes about his business quite quietly. It's a comment that a few people have said to us in the past on a few podcasts about Kenny.
Yeah, I mean, I completely agree with you, Spud. I think he's much maligned. I think a lot of people come out and give him some pelters, but the job he does is, you're right, when he's not there, you notice it. And heaven forbid he goes down injured over the next couple of games, because we are.
Yeah, we are in a stuck, aren't we? Yeah.
When I make a comment. So, but it's like, I think there's other players as well. I think, people are at the moment slating players like Ben Crescene and Oscar Schwartu and Ginnak. And I think perhaps they're not underrated because it's very difficult to rate a player when they first come into the team. But I certainly think I've seen enough of those players so far to know that they could go on to be very good players and under the right circumstances. And it's not, I don't think it'll happen this season, but I think next season could be the one.
Well, I've said it quite a lot of people when they start criticising someone like Cernak, and I said, are you the same person who criticised Sargent in his first season?
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's ideal. It would be ideal if they came out and they're instant successes. We've got to be patient. Let's not ruin a young person's career, because I've always said this: the people who scout these players, they don't just look at one game; they look at him for a lot of games. And if you suddenly went over to somewhere like, is it Croatia he's from, Cernak? Am I right there?
I think so.
Yeah. If you suddenly got a job and you got sent over to Croatia, do you think you'd be a success straight away? I doubt it. Doesn't matter what job you're doing. If you're a teacher, will you be a brilliant teacher in a Croatian school? No. So be fair to someone like Cernak.
That's a great analogy, that, to be fair.
Yeah.
Because, I think a lot of people don't consider that. They just look at the price tag and go, oh, we spent 9 million on him, but actually you buy the players for their potential, and there would have been the reason that it's that price as well is because there would have been 2 or 3 other clubs looking at him thinking, oh, well, we'll spend the money on him, but actually Norwich had the testicular fortitude to put that money down and go, right, well, we'll take a punt on him. And it hasn't necessarily happened with some players over the years. I'm looking at sort of Christos Solis and players like that, but there's outside influences there. But I think there's the vast majority of players which we've taken a punt on. We've look at the likes of Jamal Lewis, Max Aarons, Ben Godfrey, Marco Steepman. I'll probably add to that, where we've had to take a punt on these players, but actually it's come good. So I agree with you 100%, Spud.
Yeah, something it's been the case for a long time. So I don't understand why it's such a surprise that it takes so long for these players to sort of adapt to a foreign league. Let's face it, it's pretty intense. I always look back at Vrancic. Like I have the purple shirt with his name on it, because I was like, I like this guy, something about him, and I think he got a lot of stick. and then the following season, well, we know how he performed. So I just think people have short memories, maybe.
Yeah. Unfortunately, that's what comes with football. A lot of football fans have short memories. Yeah, and they think they know better. And you have to just trust the people who are the scouts, who are the coaches, and leave it to them.
Definitely. Right. So last question from me before we move across to Morgan for his question of the week. If you've got one, Morgan, I hope you have. If you haven't, start thinking about it because you've committed to that. Okay, the last question this evening, because we've already covered the fourth official one, so that's fine. So the last question is, if you, I'm going to sound like I'm a bit sort of kit obsessed, but another one to relating to kits. If you could design a Norwich City third kit, what would it look like?
Nothing. I'm so old school. I just so prefer when there's just a home kit, yellow kit, and the away kit being white. And that was it. We had, I was brought up in the early 80s, and I would say well, you go back to 1981. You could actually go further than that, actually. From late 70s up to mid 90s, we had yellow kit, white kit, white, with whatever add-ins they had on it.
Yeah.
And that's what I just loved. It crazes me that it's not been too bad this season, but majority games we are going to away games wearing yellow. And I get it, it's all for sponsorship and commercial and all that. I do understand that, and it brings in so much money. But I just want to go to a away game and say, "Come on, you yellows, wearing the yellow kit and not the black kit," because we're playing someone like, I don't know, Sheffield United, and got no links with it. I know we did wear yellow kit on Saturday, I know that, but there's so many away games where there's no clash whatsoever.
Yeah.
So yeah, in an ideal world, we'd just have two kits and just be old school and
Fair enough.
I'd be a bore.
No, it's fine. I like the white kits. There's the one that I want to get, but it's a little bit tainted, is the away one we had when we signed Ricky Van Wolfswinkel.
Yeah.
I really like that white and black kit. I think it's a really, really nice looking kit, but I won't get it purely based on that reason. Fickle as it might be.
I think what they should do with the third kit, and I don't know whether any club has done this, but give it to some of the primary schools in the local area and go, right, you could come at us with some designs. We'll give you the opportunity to design the kit. Let the kids do it.
That'd be amazing. She is getting into her football, but she loves her artwork, so she's constantly drawing stuff and all that. So I'll put that to her.
I think they should. I think that's what the club should do. I think they should go to all the primary schools in the area and say, right, this is the competition. And I don't know whether the prize would probably be something like they get to play on Carrow Road and, have a massive day out at Carrow Road as the winning school. And then the winning child gets maybe a season ticket or I don't know, something else. But I think the club should perhaps look at doing that as a bit of an incentive and a bit of a community piece, I suppose.
Yeah, no, I'll go along with that. So
no, definitely. Morgan.
Yes.
It's the moment. Big question of the week.
So I'm going to sing it because I started doing that last week and I may as well continue the theme.
Yeah, go on.
So, random question of the week. There you go. So your nickname is Spud.
Yep.
If you could have another nickname, which was a vegetable, what would it be and why?
Oh, that's on the spot, that is.
Well, whilst you're thinking of that, why are you called Spud?
Well, that's my three brothers go to me, because I'm small and round. Simple as that.
Oh, fair enough.
Yeah.
That's easy then. Right, okay. That's an easy question, sorry.
Now, what's a yellow vegetable? Give me a yellow vegetable off the top of your head.
What's a sweet corn?
Sweet corn, there you are. That'll do me. Something yellow.
Right, okay. What about you, Jez?
Oh, that's a good question. I don't know. I think perhaps just because of how rotund I am, something like butternut squash. How it goes.
It doesn't really roll off the tongue, does it? Jeremy Butternut Squash Davies.
True. Or maybe BS for a short, but then that might mean something else. So
yeah, probably on par. I'd be Parsnip because because I'm pale, skinny, and pointy. And there you go.
Love it.
Spud, it's been an absolute pleasure, mate. Thank you so much for coming on.
No worries. It's been an absolute joy. And keep the faith. And let's support the team all the while. I know it's just one other thing I would say. It's one of those. I'm very selfish at the moment. Mm-hmm. I don't want us to get promoted just yet because I do. This is totally selfish. I'm getting my little girl into football at the moment. Mm-hmm. I think if we got promoted,
I know
that would ruin it for her. You look at someone. You look at someone like Sheffield United last season getting beat every week. It couldn't be much fun.
Well, look at Southampton this season.
Yes, Cascade Southampton. And she'd be bored out of her head and she'll say she don't want to go. I don't
think that's selfish. I think that's very responsible. Probably maybe a better word to use there. But I think, for a father that wants the best for their, football supporting daughter, I think you're completely right. I don't think we're ready in any stretch. I think we might be in a few years with Atanasio's involvement and, potential money and stuff and what could become of the football club. But at the moment, we're nowhere near. So I think, I would be surprised if we were down for another couple of seasons. And that's probably not something that our supporters want to hear. But at the end of the day, I think we want the best for the club and we don't want to be a club that goes up and has to kind of, I don't know, put a band-aid over the team and to try like Luton did last season by getting players like Ross Barkley and Andros Townsend, and it just didn't work in the end. But I know we're a very different club to Luton, but we're trying to do it the right way and we're trying to be a sustainable outfit.
No, that's absolutely spot on. Yeah, totally agree with that. So yeah, I won't stop you on Saturday shouting and screaming, wanting to win.
Oh, exactly that. Yeah. Is there anyone you want to give a shout out to before we finish?
It's nice to hear Diane put me forward. She does a lot of work for Norwich City. There's loads of people at the social club. I don't know if you get a chance to go there, but there's loads of people who do so much for the club. Mm-hmm. We're very lucky to have some fantastic supporters like Diane, and the rest of her volunteers, because what they do for a club is fantastic. I.e. this week they're doing some about the mental health. They're putting that forward. No, I wouldn't want to support any other team. I sound like a broken metal player when I go on about these people who support the so-called big teams and the Man Uniteds and Liverpools of this world. I'll never get my head round it. No. And when I watch the players go around the pitch and you see someone like Earl Hernandez coming over and making a fuss for Amelia and saying her name, and I'll say to the people who support Liverpool, Man United, I'll say, I bet there's no Man United or Liverpool player would say that to your child. Right. And absolutely. That's what Norwich City is about, and I hope we never change. And that's why I've always loved Delia and Michael Jones, because that's what they kept it real. Yeah. Okay. While all those other clubs are going towards the money people and all that, seeing them away from the football pitch, and they were chatting to you, and it wasn't just football, it was other things, and asking personal questions, i.e. how's the family and all that. That means so much more to me, and that's why we are lucky to support the club we are.
No, couldn't agree more. I think that's a really nice place to finish. So over to Morgan for the sign off.
So thanks everyone for listening. Again, thanks so much for the Norwich Folklore Spud. Thank you for coming on. I've been Morgan.
That's it for this episode of Beyond the Barclay. Thanks so much for listening. Your support means the world to us. Don't forget to follow or subscribe on your favorite podcast platform and leave a review if you enjoyed the show. You can also catch all our episodes on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube. And if you've got any questions, stories, or topics you'd like me to cover, get in touch. I'd love to hear from you. Until next time, on the Ball City.